What's up, fishing freaks? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Chip, and today we're going to talk about probably the most important thing when it comes to fishing. It doesn't matter if you have the nicest gear, if you're not, it's not going to hold up. So your knot is going to be the most important thing when it comes to fishing. You can have the strongest line, the best hooks, the best rods, the best reels. You're not going to land that fish and bring it home to the bank or to the boat, wherever you're gonna fish, if your knots are not gonna hold up. So for me, most important things when it comes to knots, the best knot you can tie is a knot you can tie. It doesn't help you if you try today the fanciest knots with like 3 tack ends, you need like 5 hands and your feet and your tees and whatever if you can't tie it. And what's also really important is for me that I have a knot where I can look at and I can check it and I can see, okay, this knot is tied correctly. So we're gonna talk today about my 6 favorite knots I always use when it comes to bass fishing or fishing, but fishing in general. So let's jump right into it. Let's tie some knots.
So for the Uni Knot, we come in from the front, pulling it through. That's your main line. Here's your tag. I use my pinky, so I'm basically pull it back down and I create a loop. That's how it looks like. And I have my hook with my pinky and the line with my pinky. So now I'm coming back here like this and I wiggle it around the main line and the tack end of the one side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would say 5 to 7 times, depends what line you're using. For this purpose I just do 6 times. So now you cinch it down a little bit. And now the most important thing to do is you really need to loop that. Most people just put it in your mouth and use their own spit. So I'm not gonna do this right now, but in general, you wanna have it looped really, really good. So on this point, you can pull on your main line already, pull it a little bit more down, so it comes closer to the eye of the hook. And now you pull on your tag end, really slow. Now you pull your main line tight. I like to pull on my hook, my main line and my tag end for one more time. Pull it really tight, nice and tight. So now you can see if you tied that knot correct, you have nice loops, one on top of the other, really like a spring. And that's where you make sure if your knot is correct. Now we clip the tag end off. Still, I would recommend to leave a little bit. Don't cut it too short. So that's how it gonna looks like. Nice and clean, solid knot. Now for the San Diego jam. Same thing, go through the eye of the hook, pulling our tag end through. Get a little bit more line this time. Again, I hold my hook with my pinky, pulling the tag end through. Here's my tag end. I'm using my pinky again, same as with the Uni Knot, pulling it through. But this time I'm going down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. After we did 7 loops down the line, we go through both lines. Now we're coming from the same side and going through that top loop we created with our pinky. Going through there. So the trick is with this knot, and the moment you're pulling it down, you help it a little bit and twist it with your hands. Wet your line first again, then snug it down nice and slow. Now we cut the tack end. Here's the same as this knot. If you tie it correct, you're gonna see like a spring again. It looks nice and clean. The reason why we wet this, monofilament and fluorocarbon line, if you tie it down and you didn't wet it, it gets so hot that you damage the line. I don't know if you see it really good, but on this point, the line looks different. That's burnt material, and that's why it's also like that spin in there. It's like already stressed. Now when you hook into a fish, chances are really high that you break on this spot somewhere here because your line is stressed. So that's why we always make it wet, use your spit. You know that works. So yeah, but you can see here, That's a nice clean knot. We did a good job. Everything is fine. This knot is really, really strong. That's an awesome knot. Some people even use it for braid. So now the next one we're gonna do a knot I really like to use for my frog fishing. We're doing basically a normal Polymer knot, but in this case, because we use braid, we switch it up a little bit. You all know braided line likes to slip on metal. That's why we do a backing in our spools, or like at least electrical tape. That's hands down my favorite line for frogging or punching heavy cover. That 65-pound test Power Pro Max Quattro in moss green. This line is awesome. What I like on this line is it's a little bit rough on the edges. Like the whole line is rough. It's kind of like has teeth. I feel like that makes it a little bit easier to rip fish out of thick cover. It's kind of like a saw, you know, it's like it cuts through the grass and everything. There are other lines what I use for my finesse fishing. They're like super slick outside. That makes them better cast, going better through the water. But in this case, for my heavy stuff, when I go in heavy cover, I like this line a lot. A normal Polymer knot, you just go in on the one side, then you flip it around, come back, so you create that loop. I'm not gonna do this. I go in from that one side here, then I turn around, do another loop from the same side, coming back into the same side. Now pulling it through, so that gives me one more loop here. So instead one line, now I have two lines there. And that helps a little bit to hold the braid in place. There's more material it can bite into. How long you do your tag end, that depends how big your lure is. Now you go back to the same side, and that creates that loop. That's your main line, that's your tag end, and you have that loop here. Now we just do a normal, simple overhand knot. Same thing as you tie your shoes. Just a normal, simple overhand knot. Whoop. Cinch it down a little bit. The loop goes over your frog all the way around, or lure, whatever it is. And now you have the tack end and the main line coming out on the other side between the loop. Now you pull your main line, tack. Now you have a really strong Polymer knot with a little bit extra bite on it. If you want to do a little bit more to be super safe, you do just a double overhand knot. That makes it a little bit more difficult, and you need a little bit more strings to pull the knot together, but that would be even safer. But so far I have really good experience just like this. Again, here, that's my tack end. Gonna clip it off, leave a little bit. It's not gonna hurt you, especially with braid or frog fishing. But that's it. That's the Polymer knot. That's how it goes. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So when it comes to flipping, I'm actually use this one here. That's an Owner Jungle White Gap. It's a really, really sturdy hook, really, really thick wire. And the reason why I like that better as the normal flipping hook is the hook point is pulling this way. So that means if I put on my creature bait, right, go through there, I can rig it completely weedless, and I come through that thick cover a lot better without getting stuck with my hook. The normal flipping hook, for example, they're gonna stick in it like this. Like they have kind of like a 45-degree angle to it. And that means if I have a little bit pressure on it, it's so easy for the hook point to come out, and then you get tangled up in grass and you kind of like mess up your whole flip. And I really had never problems with that hook. I feel like the hookup ratio is the same, the hook penetration is the same, and the plus size on it is, I feel like the bass has a lot harder time to shake that off. So I like this a lot better. So we set up a completely heavy punching flipping setup. I use again the same line, Power Pro Max Quattro. Then we need a heavy tungsten weight. That's a 1 ounce. And sometimes we have to go up at 1.5 or maybe 2 ounce, but 1.5 is already, 1.5 is already heavy. And then we're using the bobber stoppers here, and I'm gonna use 2. Some people use just 1 bobber stopper, but when I'm flipping heavy cover or punching heavy cover, I use 2 bobber stopper. The 6 cents ones, they're like pretty good, pretty good. There is most of the time there would be probably 1 enough. If you have that cheaper ones here, definitely use 2. So just for presentation, I use the cheaper ones now. I'm gonna put 1 on it, and then another one right behind. Oh, see, there we go. That's why they're cheap. So like 2 bobber stoppers. Pull them up the line. Give us a little bit of wiggle room. We use the heavy weight. So now make sure that you come from the front through the hook eye. If you come from the back, the hook is gonna flip to the back side in the wrong direction. You wanna come through the front. Chip through the hook eye. You're going down here all the way, giving us a little bit tack end. You don't need too much, to be honest, but you need a little bit. I like to hold it down like this. I have this the finger next to my pinky. I'm gonna hold the hook with my middle finger. I'm gonna create that loop, and then with my other hand I'm holding this line, however you want to do it. And then now I'll wiggle it around the hook shape. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I try to have them already lined up really nice and clean. And then you basically just take your tag end and pull it through that loop you created with your finger. Through there. Pull on it. You hold it there, get your finger out. It's sometimes difficult to get. So now your tag end is down here, your loop is here. You have your tag end through your loop, and now you start pulling on the main line to close that loop. Boom. So now everything is nice and clean cinched together. Also here, I leave a little bit longer on the tag end. Tag end gotta go. In the moment you set the hook, your hook is gonna be jump up. Boom, boom, boom. That gives you a better hookup ratio. Now when we put the lure back on, so now you come through the thickest cover with that thing. So now we're gonna do the uni to uni knot. What's super easy. Even I told you guys I'm gonna use this for my more finesse techniques, and for my finesse stuff I have like a high visible bright yellow line with a fluorocarbon line. Now just you can see it better because those lines are really thin. I'm gonna use my 65-pound braid and my 15-pound mono. So how are we gonna do this? Easy. The braid in the right hand, the mono in the left hand, and then we overlap the lines just like so, pull them along, and use my pinky again. Use my pinky again. So now we overlap this here, pinch them together. Now we have that O shape kind of deal, and the main monoline or fluorocarbon, whatever you're using, right beside the main braid. Now the easiest way to hold it down is like this. Depends how thick your line, 5 to 8 turns around both lines. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, oh, a little bit short, 6, and 7. Let's stick for 7. Now the whole thing looks kind of like this. That's your main end braid. That's basically your tag end of your mono coming both out of this side. Wiggle it around, and then you have your tag end of your braid on this side and your main fluorocarbon or mono. So now you hold your tag end of your braid and pull Slowly everything together. On this point you want to loop it really good. Spit on it, that helps. And now you pull it slowly together. And you see here again, it's a nice, like a spring shape. They're all nice together, side by side, not overlapping. That's how you want to tie the uni knot. And now we repeat that thing, the same thing on the other side with your mono or fluorocarbon. Take it, hold it here, create the loop, over to the other side, pinch it down, and now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Same situation here. Pull it slowly down. Loop it really good, right? And then when you come down here, you actually pull it down. And now we cut both tack ends. I like to leave the braided tack end a little bit longer. Holy crap, that's good stuff here. And now your mono tack end, you can cut that actually pretty short. That thing goes like super easy through your line guides, no problem. Even when you have it with on the spool, it's nice and clean, super small. In this case, I would just do like 5 turns, so it would be even a lot smaller. The 7 turns in the mono line, it makes it pretty bulky and big, but still it's a nice, really nice, clean little knot. If you don't have them overlapping here and they're all nice and looking like a spring, nice and clean, you know you tied that knot right. You know you can trust that knot. That's it. That's the uni to uni. Now, last but not least is the blood knot. We start off the same way with the uni to uni. Come from both sides, overlap that. For my opinion, that's the easiest connection knot you can tie, and it's so good. So you overlap it like the uni to uni, same thing. Then you pinch it in the middle. Just pinch it here. You overlap them here, you pinch it together. So now you do 7 to 9 turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's say we do 8 turns around, right? What I like to do when I start with the braid, I want it already all nice and clean together. I like it to have that already like this. So now on the point where you pinch this together, this would be like here, right? Here we have that bend. So now we come and go through this hole where we pinch together with our braided line, just like that. I like to bend it over to this side and pinch it together again. Now we do the same thing in the opposite direction with your mono or fluorocarbon line. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now it's the part you have to pay a little bit attention. You want to go through the same loop, but in opposite direction. We came from the back with our braid. So now we go from the top through that loop with our mono. So we want kind of like cross the lines. So now we have this tack end here, right? They go in both directions. One goes in this way, one goes in this way. So now again, we loop everything up really good. And then we start pulling slowly everything together. Start pulling. Best thing is you pull just the main lines really, really slow. Loop everything really good. And you see already, if you tie it right, they go in opposite direction and they're gonna stay like this. So you pull it down really good. So now instantly you see if you tied it right. The one line goes up, the other one goes down. They go in opposite directions. And they have both lines have that wonderful, nice or wiggles, they look like a spring. If it looks like this, you gold. Otherwise, cut it off, tie it again. I also use a little bit longer tag end on the braided side. Do it a little bit shorter on the monofilament or fluorocarbon. There we go. Wonderful small little connection knot which holds a ton. I actually never break off on my connection knots. If I break off on my leader or on the hook maybe, but most of the time I just break off somewhere on my leader. I would recommend all the knots. Just if you watch TV or something, try and learn your knots and look, really test them, how much they hold up. When I started out with the blood knot, probably I tied 15 or 20 knots with different lines. So I tied my blood knot with my heavier line, and I tied my blood knot with my smaller line. You have to adjust a little bit. It depends what line brand and what line type, like how thick your line is. I would start out with 9 loops in both ways, like do 9 turns with your braid and 9 turns with your fluorocarbon or mono. And then you have to adjust. Sometimes, for some reason, some lines, they like to have 9 turns on one side and just 7 on the other or something. I don't know why, but that's how it is. Yep, that's the blood knot.
Okay, fishing freaks, that's from me today. I hope that helps you guys. If so, please go ahead, like, subscribe, and hit the notification button so you're always up to date. Thanks again for watching. I'm out, and I see you guys next time. Whew.